Welcome to All About Cars, and today we're going to talk about the launch of the urban cruiser. We're going to talk about the GLE AMG 53 and we're going to talk about the Gloster. After that I'll talk about the car that I drove, and of course we'll answer all the questions that you sent in, and thank you so much for sending the questions, and please continue to do so in the coming weeks as well. So starting with the Toyota urban cruiser, it is essentially the Maruti Suzuki Vitara Brezza, but with a different grille. And between the two, I think because the price difference is barely 5,000 bucks. Now the urban cruiser is available in three trims. You've got mid, high and premium. And this is equivalent to VXI, ZXI and ZXI Plus on the Vitara Brezza. Now if you compare the two cars, there's a 5,000 rupee difference, but the urban cruiser has some advantages. For starters, it gets a better warranty. The Maruti comes with a 2-year 40,000, this one gets 3-year 100,000 kilometer warranty. Then you've got the difference in service. The number of customers for Maruti per service station would naturally be more, so you will probably have more waiting, or chances are that the service might not be as good as Toyota, because Toyota's whole game with the urban cruiser is that you will get Toyota service, best service, etc. So we'll just believe that Toyota is going to deliver a better service, so you've got an advantage there. And finally, you've got the Toyota badge. So not only will it help get better resale when you want to sell compared to the Maruti Suzuki Brezza, but even when you're talking to your friends, well, it's a Toyota against a Maruti, so clearly has an advantage. Then of course we had the launch of the Mercedes GLE AMG 53. This is the first car that comes in the AMG 53 series. Now it's not the full fat AMG, but it still manages to deliver in the looks department. You have all the AMG bits added on, you've got a lovely sounding exhaust, and of course you've got plenty of power and torque. I think it's over 400 horsepower, over 500 newtons or 520 newton meters of torque, so lots of grunt there. And of course you get the coupe styling, big wheels, etc. So that's priced at 1.2 CR. Mercedes says that the GLE is their highest selling AMG. They had the GLE Coupe in 43 guys last time around. This is the 53, and they hope and they believe that this would continue to be a good seller for them. And then we have the Gloster. Now the Gloster has not been launched, but we have driven the car, and MG has unveiled everything that needs to be unveiled about the car apart from the pricing. Now in terms of pricing, we feel that MG would need to price it at par with its competitors, which is the Fortuner and the Endeavour. They're both a little over 40 lakhs on the road, so Gloster should be around that much. Now of course it's packed with technology. It will be India's first level 1 autonomous car, in that sense that it has adaptive cruise control, it's got self-parking, things like that. So lots of bells and whistles, but MG should not get carried away, and they should price it at par with the other two, because the other two have great brand recall, which MG will have to build over time. It has other pluses too. It's got the Gloster. It's got the most powerful engine in its class. It's got good ride. It's got fantastic last row seating, lots of space, more than both the competitors. And as a product, I think it will be a force to reckon with. So we got to watch out for the pricing on that one. Now, as for the car that I drove the Gloster's competition, the new Ford Endeavour with black bits, called the Black Edition, this week. This is the BS6 version, 2-liter engine. We've driven it earlier, but we only drove it in Rajasthan on sand dunes, etc. This time we spent a lot of time driving it in the city, and it is an easy car to drive. It's an easy car to live with. The 10-speed automatic it comes with makes hides or makes use of the smaller capacity, so you don't feel that lack of capacity on the Endeavour thanks to the 10-speed. Harnesses the potential well. You've got good output figures for that car, and if you drive it under 2,000, then it's quiet, and that's all you need. But once you go over it, yeah, then it gets noisy. But otherwise, in terms of ride, for an SUV that size, handling, braking, etc., even seating for 4, quality insides, it's a good car to buy. We've done a full-fledged review of this car, and that goes live tomorrow, so do watch out for that on the same channel. And now let's take some questions. So we'll start with the Instagram questions first, and Bhargav asks us that he wants a crossover, a petrol crossover for under 14 lakh rupees. What should he go for? Our suggestion would be the Creta because he's looking for comfort, he's looking for something that's safe and something that drives nice. I think the Creta is the car that you can buy in that class. You won't be able to buy the top spec for this sort of money, but you can get the Creta S petrol for this money, and it should be a good purchase. So that's something that you can go for. Next up, we've got Jolly Good Fellow. Now, Jolly Good Fellow says that he wants a family car that can seat up to 6 people. He's looking at driving about 30 kilometers a month. So clearly a petrol powered MPV would make more sense. And since you haven't told us what your budget is, we're going to give you 2 options. If you are looking at spending less than 10 lakh rupees, then you can go for the top spec Triber with an AMT or otherwise. We've tried it, we've driven it with 6-7 people and it works. Yes, it's got a small engine, not enough power output, but it's not really a bother. Especially in city confines. Even on the highway, if you're doing something around 90, 100, I think it works with that many people. But if you can spend more and you're looking for a little more space, a little more refinement, a little more power, then of course Ertiga is a great option. That too, you'll also get fantastic resale whenever you choose to sell. So depending on your budget, you can either go for the Triber or you can go for the Ertiga. So that was Instagram. Now let's look at what we have from Facebook. We've got Shantanu Jain, and he wants to know whether he should settle or go for the Kwid or the S-Presso. He's looking for an AMT version. Now, the Kwid looks much better than the S-Presso. I think there's no 2 ways about that. If design or looks is important for you, then of course the Kwid is the car to go for. But otherwise, when you look at it mechanically, when you look at it how they drive and how they perform on the road, otherwise, the S-Presso is the better choice. You also have a much wider service network to go for, and an established drivetrain option, etc. So the S-Presso to us seems the better option between these 2. Next we have Diaz Solomon, and he wants to buy a budget automatic car. He currently owns a Skoda Octavia, and he's looking to downgrade and get some hatchback, and he's given a list of options. He's asked whether he should go for the S-Presso, the Tiago, the Ignis, the Swift, the Grand Iton or the Celerio, and all of these are of course AMT options. Now between this, I would say the Swift makes the best is the best car to go for. Not just in terms of AMT, I think Hyundai does AMTs better, but the Swift as a car is the best that you can pick in this lot, be it driving, be it the ride quality, the quality in general, and overall experience of the Swift is the best in the list that you've given us. So the Swift AMT is what we'd recommend. Now let's take some questions from our YouTube viewers. And first up, we've got Nazir G. He's asked a slightly complicated question. He's asked between Superb Camry or Lexus, which one should he choose? He's also asked between the BMW 3 Series and the C-Class, which one should he choose? And finally, he's asked if he were to go for an SUV, what should he go for? So between the Superb Camry and the Lexus, the Superb, I don't know which Lexus you mean, but it would probably be a used Lexus if you're looking at around the same price point. So we'd say Superb is the one that we'd recommend in between these 3. As far as BMW 3 Series and the C-Class petrol goes, the 3 Series now is a really nice car, and that's what we would recommend. And if you're looking for an SUV in the 40 to 50 lakh bracket, then you've got these large full-sized SUVs between the Fortuner Endeavour and the soon-to-be launched Gloster. So if you want to buy now, I think we'd recommend the Endeavour. And if you want one of the SUVs with premium badges on them, then of course you have the option, you probably only have the option of the X1. So because there is no new GLA and there is no new Q3. So the X1 is what you should settle for. Next up, we've got Rahul Sikri, and he's asked us between the Harrier and the Compass, which one should he go for? We'd pick the Compass. When it comes to driving dynamics, when it comes to overall driving feel, the quality levels, the Compass is the better car. So that's what we'd recommend. The Harrier is cheaper, we agree, but if you can afford the Compass, then Compass is what you should go for. We've got Biswanath Raut. He's asked a question regarding our Thar review that we did. If you haven't seen that, we'll have a link. You can click on that. He's asked, what will be a smooth cruising speed for this this brand new Thar? So in our review, we spent 3-4 days with the car, and we'd say 100 is a great cruising speed for this car. It can also do 120. The road noise and the wind noise goes up. There's a bit more engine noise coming in as well, but even at 100, with the diesel, the one that we drove, the RPM's only at 2000. So it's pretty quiet and vibe free. Even at 120, it's barely doing 2,500 RPM. So it's got a 6-speed manual, so it takes care of that. So pretty high cruising speed for off-roader in the true sense. Nitesh Jamwal again asking a question on the Thar. He's asking how's the NVH levels on the highway for this car at 90 kilometers per hour? Like we just said in the previous question, like we answered, good NVH. Is it absolutely quiet? No. And if you go in for a soft top, then of course it's going to get noisy. But for the company fitted hard top at 90 kilometers per hour with the engine RPM under 2000 RPM in 6th gear, it is pretty quiet. And that's a wrap on this week's All About Cars. Do comment, do like, do share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And do send in your questions, because that's the whole point of this show. You send in more questions, the more questions we answer, more engagement, we talk to each other, so that's fantastic. So hope to see you next week.